About 7 years ago, I watched a documentary called Who Killed Jessica Chambers? It was a multi-part documentary. There are now podcasts about it as well. But if you like true crime, you might want to go back and find one of those documentaries or one of the podcasts. It's a very interesting story. It's a sad story. I think what gripped me about it and why I remember it so well is they interviewed a first responder, and the way he talked about what he saw that night. I'll just not ever forget him describing what he saw.
She had her arms out and was coming towards me saying, "Help me, help me, help me."
I want you to describe for this jury, what did she look like? What was the condition of Jessica Chambers?
Her hair was fried out like she'd stuck it in a light socket. And she had black all over her face. Her body was severely burned. And I wrapped a blanket around her to conceal her. She reached out for my hand. I held on to her hand. And her mouth, inside her mouth was just charred black. And when I asked her name, she said Jessica Chambers. And she was not recognizable to me. I know what she looked like. Knowing this is Cortland, I said, "This is Jessica Chambers, not Chambers."
In all your years of being a firefighter, have you ever seen anything like this?
No, sir, and I hope I never see anything like it again.
If you're new to this channel, welcome. I hope you will like and subscribe. This channel does videos about different topics, and I hope it's things that you'll enjoy and encourage you. Subscribing to a YouTube channel is free. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video is published. Now to today's video. But the story starts with Jessica Chambers walking down a road after being set on fire inside her car. Two men driving down the road call 911. And I think in the documentary they even play that 911 call. And then you hear the first responders describing what they saw when they got on the scene. Jessica was still alive, but she had been severely burned. She had been set on fire inside her car, somehow was able to get out of the car and start walking down the road. She lived for 6 hours, I believe, after they called 911, and that she did make it to the hospital. Her mother got to be by her side for a few hours and stayed with her till she passed away. But she told more than one first responder who did this to her. And literally one of the first responders said, and I quote, she said plain as day, "Eric did this." And when they interview him, he's saying, and another first responder said, he asked her, he was apparently at one end of her body, maybe at her head, and the other guy was at her feet, and he recalls how the first responder at her feet said, "Honey, who did this to you?"
Jessica, I asked, "Who did this to you?" She replied, "Eric."
From what I could hear, it sounded like she said Eric.
I asked her, "Who did this to you?" And she said, "Eric."
I said, "Honey," I bent down, I said, "Honey, who did this to you?" And all I heard was Eric.
You had your ear right to her.
Oh yeah, honey, I trying to find out who did this to her.
EMS was able to obtain patient's name and that she was set on fire by another person named, quote, Eric, unquote, multiple times.
What is so strange in the documentary? Law enforcement looks for an Eric. They never find an Eric or arrest an Eric, but instead they arrest Quinton Tellis. So it was so strange to me. I just couldn't get over the fact that she told more than one person Eric did this. But they arrested a guy named Quinton Tellis. And Quinton was a friend of hers, and she had been with him that day. But if you want to watch the documentary and make your own mind up. But he was charged. Quinton Tellis from there in Cortland, Mississippi, was charged with the murder. He went on trial. I can't remember if it was a mistrial because it was a hung jury or something else happened, but he was retried, and at the retrial, it was a hung jury. So he went to trial twice for this murder, but was not convicted. Quinton Tellis did do time in a Mississippi prison, or at least that's what's been reported, that he did do time on a burglary charge, and he served time in prison in Mississippi. But this was an unrelated charge. To my knowledge, they have never tried anyone else. I think the theory is that law enforcement believes they had the right man, Quinton Tellis, even though she said Eric did it. I live in the South, and I remember that so well. It was just a very well done documentary, and it was such a mystery of this young, beautiful 19-year-old being set on fire in her car, having the strength to get out of the car, walk down the road, and living 6 more hours and being able to tell people Eric did this. But she never gave a last name. She said Eric did this. But they go to trial. They don't get a conviction with Quinton Tellis. Now, that was in Mississippi. Monroe, Louisiana, there's a murder of a recent college graduate, and Quinton Tellis was arrested for that murder in 2019. Now, the Jessica Chambers murder was 2014. In 2019, Quinton Tellis was arrested for murdering a woman in Monroe, Louisiana, and he did not admit to murdering her, but he admitted that he used her credit cards without permission after her death. So he went to trial for that murder, and I do believe he was convicted, but the conviction was overturned, or they appealed the conviction, and so he was set to have a new trial that should have started on December 1st of 2025. And I made a quick video because I happened to see on a local news station, because I live near Louisiana, I saw a story about Quinton Tellis, and I just remembered that name from the Jessica Chambers documentary, and that they said his trial was going to have to be postponed because the state's expert witness that was going to talk about cell phones or data on a computer or data on a laptop had been killed in a car accident in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And what I heard was, I thought the report said he was traveling to Monroe, Louisiana for this trial that was going to start on Monday, but he was killed on Saturday in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I made a quick video about that news report. I was so shocked to see that Quinton Tellis is now being tried for the second time for the murder of the woman in Monroe, Louisiana. He was also tried twice for Jessica Chambers. Well, on this channel, I talk about YouTube channels I like, podcasts I like, and do commentary. And I'm making this video today to just share with you, if you're looking for a very interesting doc or podcast, you might want to try to find one on the Jessica Chambers murder. It is still unsolved, in my opinion, but you've got to admit, having all those witnesses say that she said Eric, I can see why they didn't get a conviction. But isn't it strange that he is now being tried twice for the murder of another young woman? You would think that if this young man had been tried twice for murder, you would think he would certainly think twice about committing another murder. Or is he thinking, well, I got away with it once, I'll get away with it again? And is he going to? Thanks for listening.